Hi, and welcome back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Eve.
We're laughing because Eve, I don't think she took a look at my sock machine this week. And though I sent her pictures, she didn't look at them. And you didn't get me a coaster.
I did.
Where is it?
It's there.
Oh, here it is.
You didn't put your drink on the coaster.
I didn't see the coaster.
Unusually, it is very humid today.
Yes.
And it has been for...
So, hi, and welcome back. Sorry, we're arguing. It is the first weekend of September, if you can believe that.
Yes.
And
I was
it's only
actually
gonna get crazier from here.
I was actually stitching some on
Whose phone was that?
It wasn't me.
No, I turned the sound
We're
off.
still
mine.
arguing.
That isn't
And
a sound
welcome to
my
our
phone
life.
makes.
I think that was Beth's phone. But anyway.
But I was like stitching on that little border that I made for the year to walk in the wood, a year in the woods thing, and so I thought, because I'm going to use a new one for one of my new starts for this month, and so I thought, well, I'll do the border while I'm I was in this limbo before at the end of August, and so I was like stitching till it's after midnight. Okay, I can start my August 1st.
You mean September 1st?
Yeah, September 1st, sorry. Yeah.
I think that you honestly think that there is like a cross-stitch policeman looking in your window. She is working on September and it's only 11:58 in August. What is she like? No one cares. Anyway, you're going first today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So one of my WIP-GO projects for September is Winter Gathering. This is the Dimensions kit. I think Kim Nelson, is that right? Is the design? Kim Martin is the designer for this. But so it's just one of my favorite things, favorite designs. I saw this at probably Joann's or something, and I thought, I really need to have that. It's so cute. A little birdie sitting on a wire with their little Christmas winter hats and their stockings.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot a pen. Do you have a pen?
Yes.
I was looking for myself, trying to be
If
self-sufficient.
on the outside of this, on the back side of this bag, there's a little notebook with a pen
Okay, sorry.
stuck on it. So I've been working on. There's 3 birds on the end here. There's a total of 7 because there's 4 here that are done besides the back stitching, and on the other side of the back side.
I got it.
And so there's 3 here. So I finished this little bird, this little greenish yellow bird, and right now I'm working on this one, and then there's one more over here that goes. And I finished these stockings down here. So now there's a little, a bunch of back stitching on the stockings and on the birds, but I can't do it until I do the little ghosty trees because some of the back stitching runs into them or whatever. So, because I was looking at it going, well, can I do that back stitching but the trees are right up against them, so I don't want to do the back stitching before I do those trees. But so it's coming along very nicely. I've done one day of to finish this little bird, and so if I do 1 day per bird, they'll be done soon, and then I can do the trees. And actually, there's kind of a lot of stuff because there's some other green tree fronds up at the top up here, and there's some little snowdrops here and there, and there's some French knots that are down here in these stockings, and then here and there on the birds and stuff. So there's kind of a lot of little detail stuff, but I'm on my second to the last bird, and his little hat is done, and his little face is partly done.
That's such a cute pattern.
So yeah, it's really, really cute. So that I started yesterday on September 1st, and I made a working copy of the chart because I was afraid that this is getting kind of worn out. But I did make a copy of the threads because this is on the back of the chart and I had to keep like flipping the chart over and flipping it back to find the
What was what?
huh?
What was what in the threads?
Yeah, yeah. To find this, what symbols, what color, or whatever. And I was afraid I was gonna destroy the pattern. And so I went to make copies of the pattern, but it didn't fit quite well on my copier, or I didn't have it adjusted right, and it didn't have like the last line of stitches on, so I had to make a whole bunch of weird copies. So I'm like, I don't know, I have to put it together some other day or whatever, figure out how it goes together. But also toward at the end of August, I finished the last week. I had like a handful of stitches to go on one of the trees in Daily Walk of the Woods, which was one of my WIP-GO things for last month. So I finished off that one tree, and after that I've like totally lost my mojo because I thought, well, I have a few days of, I could put in some of those little trees on here and over, I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's my cough medicine stitch. I'm just like, I'm done with it. But so I did have this mother pattern that I had been working on, and it was sitting around. So I finished the little green frond things. So all of the green leaves and stuff were done, and I did on this side. There's these little medallion things. I did those, and then so what I'm working on is the little backstitched words that go in here, and I was looking at the pattern because it says like how to to do what words and what colors, but it and the pattern itself it says is stitched 2/2, but it doesn't say whether the backstitched words are backstitched with one thread or backstitched with two threads. But I did them with one thread at first, but because this fabric is such a loose weave, the backstitching tended to really pull on it, and also with one thread you couldn't see the words very well. They tended to sort of so I took them out and redid them with two threads, and it's a little bit better. Still this gray doesn't show up very well in some places. Like it'll show up part of the letter and part of it won't, or whatever. So I'm hoping that maybe when whenever I finish it, if I put like what do you call it? What is it called? The
back
Interfacing.
Yeah, interfacing. Thank you. If I put interfacing back here, it'll help solidify that a little bit or something, because like I said, it's a very open weave and very just see-through kind of. And then let's see. I think I'll save that for later.
I thought you were going to say, and I have my sister make that into a pillow.
But so speaking of pillows, so I have a plethora.
Thanks to Eve.
Thanks to Eve, yes.
I think technically they're my finishes. My FFOs, I mean. I'm kidding.
I didn't see you stuffing and sewing and gluing.
It took me, I don't know, 10 minutes. Just not even.
Not even that long. So this is my little turtly lovable needle minder, and I had done two pieces of foam core, and it was very thick, and so I took it all apart, and the way I did it is I pried them apart, and then I soaked this turtly lovable. I totally wet it and took it off of unglued it from the foam core that it was glued to, and rinsed it off. I just ran it under cold water and scrubbed away the gluey part, and the interfacing kind of survived. It was a little squishy, weird, but then I cut two pieces of sticky board and recovered the back, and I stuck magnets on there, and so it came out very nice. A lot more
think I like it better.
Yeah,
It's cute.
yeah. I was a little concerned with that.
Did you show it to everybody?
Yeah, putting that.
She's gonna have to put a picture. It's
Yeah,
so tiny.
because it's so tiny. I was a little concerned with putting the ES400 glue on the back of this because it's fabric, you know. But it looks like it's okay. So that's done. So this is one of my July finishes. So that's done now. And one of my other July finishes was this problematic Santa. The one that had
Its
the
official
little,
name.
Yeah, had the little gap here where I had not done the trim well, and there was a little white gap there. So I had this Santa charm, and you know, so I made a bow out of this skinny ribbon, and I glued it on there, which was fine. Except that this Santa, as I was pulled it out to put it on there, I realized that there's a chip in the enamel on his hat that wasn't there before. So it was, yeah. So it was, you know, in where I had a little bag that I had put all these things in, and somehow it got a chip. So it's, you know, like I said, problematic Santa. But, you know, so it's finished as a little ornament. So, you know, you can't really see that little chip unless you look at it, but, you know, I know it's there.
Let's call faults in our finishes.
Yeah.
FFOs
There's the
to
cross stitch
others.
police looking through your window. She has a chip in the enamel of her charm.
I think it's Jenny when she's talking about quilts, and she says, if your friends look at your stuff and point out the flaws, they're not your friends.
Yeah. No one's going to come and look inside your quilt, and if they do, they are not your friend. That's what she says.
So,
finished is better than perfect.
So then I had all my little pillow finishes from July, and finally got them all done. And you know, and the trim around the pillows, I usually have in the past have put either some like chenille trim or you know, yarn. I've used yarn like a chenille trim, a yarn trim around it, or cording or something like that. And this time I didn't have any of those things, and I've never really glued trim around a pillow finish because of I don't know. I've just always like used those kind of chenille or yarn or cording, and you know, you could just quip stitch those around, yeah. And I guess I had always kind of hesitated about gluing things because I was afraid I would end up with, like, you know, stiffness or something. But
you don't have to sleep on that little pillow.
No, but
so it's okay if it's a little stiff.
You know, Sherry, the Colorado cross stitcher, she's like, I just use glue.
Yeah. But and I was also afraid that I'd get glue, like, you know, on the outside. Like, there's a little spot right here, you can see it. But you know, I tried to. I did do one trick that I saw Vanna Pfeiffer mention when she was working with glue on something that she keeps a damp cloth on her lap, so she doesn't have gluey fingers. She can, you know, wipe on the washcloth or the towel or whatever, wipe her fingers to keep her hands clean. So I was doing that, you know, so I could try to keep the gluey fingerprints to a minimum. Or right here, there's a little bit of
when
glue.
I'm making those paper flowers or even the staining I was doing, with the paper flowers mostly, I keep a big thing of wet wipes, and I'm just constantly, because glue gets all over you. And I don't hot glue because I don't like the dimension that it makes. And it peels off.
Well, and for me, the hot glue is a problem because I'm right-handed, and with the stroke, it affects the strength in his hand, and so I found like with hot glue, you know, you have to push the little trigger as you make a line or whatever, and so I
evenly.
I can't. My hand tends to shake a little bit, and it's really hard for me to make a straight line with the pressure that you need on the glue gun.
Or you get blobs.
I don't
Yeah.
have grip.
Yeah.
I have no grip in my right hand because of cutting my finger right here.
Uh-huh.
So I can't even knock on a door properly. I have to turn my hand backwards. But so to squeeze out the stain, I was like, but I can't get it to work. And so I would try my left hand, and of course my left hand isn't strong enough. So I feel your pain.
Yeah. So this is my little Bristol pillow. Woo! Sorry, it's so tiny.
Let me see.
So it came with the fabric in the little kit, and then I just found some
Oh, that's really nice.
ribbon that.
It's so stiff, though. No, just kidding.
Good edging feels stiff.
It's a pillow for your big toe, as Naomi said.
And my big toe will feel the stiffness.
And
of
then
the
this, It's You I Like little pillow I did. This was somebody, I think it was Bendy Stitchy that did the design for the words, and then I just added the little border around it. And then this ribbon, it's not ribbon, cording that I put on there. There's a little gap right there. So I tried to
Finished
gap.
is better
But anyway,
than perfect.
But I have this cording. I was looking through my little box of random ribbons or whatever, and this cording I got a long time ago at Hobby Lobby probably or something. But it was a really nice match for the backing fabric on here. So
It's nice.
it looks really nice. So there's that, and then this one is Beneath the Bow. This was, I think, an August WIP-GO finish. So it has the little thing. So I just made it into a little cushion, and I was gonna put trim on there, and I was looking at the things I had, and
I
I
think it
thought,
looks fine just like
yeah,
that.
I liked it better without it because
it's really
it's
nice.
kind of a prim, style,
Yeah.
and I
was going to say.
and I didn't like the options that I had. So yeah, it's good. So that one I think I made as a true pin cushion kind of pillow, but yeah, whatever.
It's cute.
And so this was another one of my July smalls, the little kitty cat, and I backed it with this orange fabric, and I used this orange cord, and this is the same one I used on that little bunny that I finished before, and I thought it looked really good color wise, and it's nice and shiny. And then another one of my July finishes was Christmas at Winterberry Cabin, and this is I think with a needle and thread. And I also finished it with this this red ribbon, and it's a green Lady Dot Creates velveteen. I think it's String Bean is the name of it.
It's beautiful.
But and I was gonna put like I had
I like this trim. This is
I
nice.
had some of this trim. This is I bought a whole bunch of. It was like a packet of like I don't know how many
So
rolls
pretty.
of Christmas trims at I think at Michael's. I swear I bought them. It was a little stack of several spools, and the spools did not say like how many yards or whatever. And so they didn't say anything at all. They were just completely blank. So I was like trying to tell, like, do I have it? Are they long enough to go around? And I sort of eyeballed it, and it looked like they were. So, but I had one that was like a kind of a beige color, kind of like this fabric, but with dark green Christmas trees. And at first I thought, okay, that's appropriate. But then when I looked at it, the more I looked at it, the green didn't match any of, because these are sort of prim colors. They're kind of a duller, not
It's a very bright green. For
Muted.
that, for
yeah,
that
and the
pillow.
ribbon was very, deep green, and it didn't really match this either. So,
I think that's
so.
beautiful.
I like this red because this red kind of matches this red here. It's close to that red, and so it just and it doesn't have any, In the picture, in the model, I think they finished it with like those rusty jingle bells, but they were kind of big and clunky looking, and I liked it better just this way.
That's beautiful.
So so then for August, I had Beneath the Bough, that was this one here. And Good Must I Be, so Santa Will Come See Me. And I was gonna finish it. I thought of like finishing it with as a flat little ornament thing with a hanger on there. But then I remembered I had these ornament things from, I think they're from Hobby Lobby. They're just like kind of like a whitewashed wooden look to them. And I had this little holly berry sticker thing. So I finished it on a piece of foam core. I mean, not foam core. Sticky board, yeah. And again with that maroon ribbon that I used on the little teeny weeny pillow, and I trimmed it because it matched Santa's little coat really well, and so it was easy to do on this form. And then the other finish for August was Hippity Hop, this one here, and I finished it on this pillow.
Technically, I was doing the ones from July, and she put that one on my stack. And she said, and after you do this seam, just a minute, so you can go all the way around.
Yeah, because I had the front pieces sewn together, and then but I was unable to measure the back yet because the sewing together, the front.
That's so cute.
Altered
but it's really pretty.
Bit, yeah. So
and she's like, I guess I shouldn't have put this button on yet. And I'm like, why? It's not over where the seams are going.
Yeah, but the only problem with the button is I was trying to put it in right under the bunny's little tail, and then after I had sewn it on and looked at it, and as I was stuffing the pillow, I realized his tail is not in the middle of the thing, so the little button should have been over, like directly under this flower to be in the middle.
I think it looks nice like that.
But so yeah, it's just like
not everything has to be lined up.
It disturbs my centeredness. But so I had this bunny ribbon, and
she's been dying to use it.
And so Eve suggested gluing it down here because otherwise there would have been a gap, because I didn't want to sew across it because of the bunnies, and it was going to be sewn here, but there was otherwise there would have been a gap here.
Yeah.
So I just put a little line of glue along that seam to glue it down.
That's so cute.
And yeah,
off center can be nice.
I was going to say I thought that was on purpose because that looks better. That's why you do things in 1, 3, 5.
That's
you don't
why
do
odd numbers
2.
are good, Beth.
But anyway, so yeah, so I was again.
And also the theme of the day seems to be finished.
Yes,
is better than perfect.
So I use that same orange cording on here. So I have a plethora of pillows here. Oh, and this little bag. I went to the doctor the other day, and I guess they had a drug rep, come in and visit them, or some kind of rep. I'm trying to get this. I don't want to disturb everything. But so they have these little bags that they're it says take me to your doctor, and it says please use this bag to bring all of your prescriptions to your so you're supposed to put all your prescription bottles, I guess, in here and take this to your doctor or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no. But it was sitting on the counter there as I was checking in, and it's gusseted on the bottom, and all this. I thought that would make a good project.
Take me to your doctor. Yeah. That would be your doctor waiting room knitting.
Yeah.
Your
cross
stitch.
Take me with you when you go to the doctor, so you can put your cross stitch in.
But I noticed when it was in the car, it got kind of
it got very melty with the heat.
So I'd be afraid to put.
Yeah. So I think I'll use it. I might use it for whatever. Well, as a matter of fact, I used this when I was because I had all these pillows, and Eve had sewn them all, but they all had to be stuffed and sewn and all that stuff. So while I was sitting in my room, just watching TV or whatever in the middle of the night. I just took my bag of polyfill in there with me, and I was lying in bed just stuffing all these pillows. The only thing I didn't take with me was my little stuffing tool that came with the polyfill, and so I couldn't get in the corner, so I'm like trying to do it with my finger or whatever. And so when I brought them out here and I was sitting out there sewing them together, I took that stick finally and make sure the corners.
Why did you just go to a Chinese food restaurant and get it?
Oh, I have chopsticks. I have
I
a
just
package
didn't,
of them.
yeah, I just didn't have any in my room with me, so.
Yeah, because her cats would have thrown it under the bed.
Oh, and then the other thing I want to show was I did a bad thing. I'm dangerous with a credit card. Because at first I thought I would only, use my regular debit card, which is how I usually pay for everything. I've just, got my credit card like in reserve for emergencies. This is a cross stitch emergency. But anyway, so Stephanie Webb of Lindy Stitches I think I mentioned this last week. She had talked about her design called Black Cat Season, and it's a series of 6 patterns, and she had designed it originally as a bell pull, which of course we don't have nowadays because most of us don't have servants.
Downstairs.
But, yeah, in the upstairs downstairs era, in the era of servants, they would have a bell pull, a fabric pull of some kind, that the mistress or master of the house could yank on, and it would ring a corresponding bell down in the basement where the servants were, and they would know what room to go to or whatever. So anyway, that was what a bell pull was, for those of you who might not know. But anyway, so she had designed it as a bell pull, and so it was like all 6 patterns in a long row. And the who was it? Grace Note Fabrics had designed this fabric called Raspberry Latte, and had cut it in a skinny quarter, so long this way, so that you could do all 6 patterns on one long piece and do it as a bell pull. And then I can't remember the guy's first name. Beth Twist of Heartstring Samplery, her husband, Mr. Twist, made the little toppers for the bell pulls for this pattern, and they're just like a half circle shape with a slit for you to put the fabric on, and he has hand painted 2 little cats on there and cut out a bunch of stars. It was really, really cute. And so I was looking at all this stuff, and then there's the floss pack for the pattern. And so I was looking at all 4 things. I thought, well, that's really lovely. I wish I could get all of it, but I thought I really can't. So I'm just going to get the patterns because the patterns are really cute, and I could dye fabric or whatever for them, and maybe I'll do them 3 and 3, do them as a set of 6 or whatever. And also, if you go to her website, she has a freebie thing of borders, so you could put borders in between them or whatever you want to do. So at first I would thought, okay, I'll just get the patterns, and maybe I'll get the freebie border, and I could do whatever. And so, but then when I was ordering, I thought, well, okay, I'll get the fabric. I'll get the patterns and the fabric. So that was all I was going to get. So I placed an order in the middle of the night for the patterns and the fabric. And then like 2 minutes later, I thought, oh, what the heck? And I bought the wooden piece and the floss pack. I didn't need the floss pack. It's a DMC. No, it's Weeks Dye Works. I thought I probably have all those colors, but what the heck? I did bought the floss pack. But so I noticed that they were pre-ordering the fabric and the header thing because they had run out, so they were considered pre-orders. And so after I had ordered them, I emailed Stephanie and I was saying, I placed these two orders like a minute apart because they actually had consecutive order numbers, ending with 6 and ending with 7 or whatever. So I said, is it possible, since all the stuff is considered pre-orders, if you could just put them in one package, so that I to save on shipping and all that stuff. But also at the same time, when I went to the patterns, obviously were PDFs, and you can also get them as hard copies for those of you who don't like PDFs. But so I went to print them, and it said, here's your downloads, and I clicked on the thing, and I had some kind of error message of like third party something or other, blah blah blah. So when I emailed her about the orders, I said I can't, that I'm having a problem with the download. So she very quickly, I got a quick response about sending all the other items that I'm waiting on, sending them all in one order. But I also got a very quick response about the download, so I was able to download them right away. So here are the patterns. This is number 1, Midnight Walker Shadow Stalker. And then this one is number 2, Black Cat Singing in the Dead of Night. Black Cat Singing in the Dead of Night. And then this one is called Blackest Cat. May the blackest cat you've ever seen make you smile on Halloween. And this one, House Panther. Beware House Panther, and it says deadly and fierce on there. And then this one is number 5, Good Luck. See a black cat, pick it up, all the day you'll have good luck.
Nice.
That's cute. And then this Black Cat season is number 6. So
That's
adorable.
cute. When do you expect the items to come?
Soon. She sent an email, like her newsletter or something, the other day that said that I think the guy who does the toppers was sending her a shipment of those to ship out with the orders, I guess. So probably maybe next week, next week or something like that. Yeah.
That's fine.
So not too far away. Yeah. So I think that's me.
Oh my gosh. Shall I
I'm
go
gonna have to
next,
drink
Steve?
because I'm dying first
Yeah.
now.
Okay. I'm almost done with this row. So, a very incredible thing happened this week. I finally got my sock machine. Dean and Bean circular sock machine, if you want to look them up. It's a 3D printed machine. It was way more affordable than the big, I think it's Grimbacher makes the big metal ones that are heavy and thousands of dollars. So this is a way I was like, I'm not sure, but I think I want to do this. And so Mark said, order it for your birthday. And then it came right around our anniversary. So he was like, oh, I don't have to get you an anniversary present because I'm like, wait a minute, this is my birthday. But that's all right. It was just a joke. He was just joking around. So I got it on Wednesday, and it happened to be Eli's birthday, so we couldn't celebrate. No, I mean, we had to celebrate that, and so I couldn't play with it. I went in at like after the party, after everyone left, and I was trying to set it up and read about it, and I'm like darn it! I was so tired. So the next morning, I was up early and I put the needles in, and here's some pictures. I put the needles into the cylinder and got it cranking a little bit, and I was like, I'm so excited. And the other problem is you have to use your yarn on a cone like this. And it comes with a drill bit that you can put in a drill. The drill bit goes inside here, and then you can turn with your drill, you can turn this and wind the yarn on. But I went out that morning at like, I don't know what it was, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I got Mark's drill. I was like, I need to borrow your drill, where is it? So I went out and got it. I plug it in, and like in the videos, you see it's like it starts slow and everything. I plug it in and I hit the trigger, and it was like, Rah! And all this air comes out, and like, you know, the sides. And I'm like, that's not going to work. So then I spent the whole morning between then and when I had to go to work figuring out how I could hand wind these stupid cones. So I was doing it by hand, like just turning it like. And then in my big dream box, I have 2 things that are like these bars that you can hang ribbon spools on. I was like, oh, I'm a genius. And I put it on there. And so then it was holding it for me, and I was just turning it like this. And so what I was trying to wind on there was waste yarn. I bought, remember I showed you the white yarn?
Uh-huh.
So I had 2 of those, and I wound one by hand. And I walked out of there, and I told Mark, I'm buying a drill tonight. I'm not, we're going to.
What was wrong with his drill?
It only had 1 speed, and it was super duper fast.
Oh.
Rah! Like that. Like super fast.
A drill with only 1 speed? Wow.
Yeah, it's old. I mean,
because you guys don't need to drill often, and
no,
what
it's
you need
not
to
that.
drill, what you need to drill
just
only
actually
needs 1
drilling
speed.
through a wall.
Yeah.
There you go. You know, so we've just never had a variable speed drill. So I called him on the way home from work, and I'm like, I'm going to go to Lowe's on my way home because I'm never hand winding a cone again. And he's like, and I'm like, I can just buy the cheapest thing. He goes, well, no, maybe. And in typical fashion, he's there. He was already home. He's researching. He goes, look at this one. Look at this one. Look at this one. Because it'll be nice to have. So
It would be.
My most important knitting tool that I've ever bought.
Oh, you scared the dog.
Come here. It's just a drill.
No, it's okay, baby. It's okay.
Sorry. She's like, what was that? Anyway, so this is the bit that comes with the sock machine, and it fits.
No,
It's okay.
You need to. That's enough.
That's enough for
okay.
you.
This is what it was. See? That's all. And it just fits right on there, and then you turn it, and I won't turn it on again, so I don't want to upset her, but so then it slowly turns, and you just wind the yarn. So this is a wound cone of the next sock I'm going to make. So that was Thursday morning. Thursday night, I go to the Lowe's, I buy the drill, I get home, I wind the cone, and I'm like, that's it. I'm going to do it. And I've been reading on the Facebook page how like of the sock machine owners, like, oh, it's so hard, and I've been trying for weeks, and I'm making this mess, and everything's dropping, and da-da-da. So I was already in the mindset of like, this is going to be difficult. But as is my way, I'm like, I'm going to do it. So let's see, I probably started Thursday night, like maybe it was 8-ish, 9-ish, maybe. I was like, I'm going to go. And you start at the cuff, and well, you start with I didn't bring it, but you start with this setup bonnet, which is that you can buy or you can make, but it's like a piece of knitting with a ribbon at the bottom where you put a weight in, and then you hang that on there. It's got like split rings, so it's easy to hang onto the needles. And then you start with waste yarn, and then you start with your sock yarn, and then you knit a little bit, and then you pull it back up on itself and hang the hem. So you can, I don't know if you can see, there's like a little cuff right here. Instead of a ribbed cuff, it's called a hung hem. And then you knit so you measure your foot, and you do all the measurements and stuff. Well, I did make a swatch first and counted the rows, and so I could know, like, for my foot, you make just a swatch of this yarn, you measure it, and then you wind it back up on the cone, and then you start. And then, so then you knit here, and then when you get to the heel, you lift part of the needles, and you just go back and forth on the other part, adding and subtracting needles to make what's called a short row heel, if those of you who knit would understand that. And so this is the short row heel. So it grows gradually, and it grows gradually, and then it gets, it gets smaller gradually, and then grows back. And then you lift all the rest of the needles again, and you're going all the way around the circle. And so anyway, when I did the heel, I understood the concept of it from knitting, and I had watched the videos many times. And you have to increase the tension on the yarn to do the heel. There's a mechanism at the top that pulls the yarn a little tighter, and then you have these things called heel forks that you put up inside the cylinder, and there are 3 of them. They're weighted. They have these big weights on the bottom, and they're hooks like this, and you hook them into your knitting. So it's pulling it way down by the needles that are operational. And I think I got a little enthusiastic with that, and also my tension was already maybe a little high, that it was jamming up at the corners, and I couldn't figure out why. And I'm like, it kept jamming, and of course, you don't want to force anything. And finally, I wondered if it was, I finally figured out, I thought maybe it's too much tension, so I took the heel forks out, and then it started working. So then you make the toe in a similar way, and when I got to the toe, it went much better. And so I was able to finish a sock in one sitting. Now, the time was 4 a.m. And along the way, especially at the toes and heel, I had dropped many stitches. Being able to pick up dropped stitches, I was able to get them back and put them back on the hooks, but it was hard because there's so much tension on the yarn that if one dropped, when you went to touch it to pick up the last loop that was still there, it would pop out, and then the next one would pop out, and it would pop out. So then I wound up having to, go up so many rows, and it was all hard and inside the cylinder and everything. So much cussing was spoken. And, but it is a functional sock that fits my foot. Here's a picture of it on my foot. And I did it in one sitting. And apparently, from all my friends on Facebook, that was quite an accomplishment. I'm proud of myself because it actually is a functional sock. So then last night at around, 9-ish, I was super tired because I'd stayed up all night Thursday night. And then Friday night I was like, I need to work on Jordan's sweater. So I knitted on that for a little while. And I'm like, oh heck, I'm going to go play with socks. So maybe it was 10. I don't know. But I started, and here's the second one. This is what it looks like right when it comes off. Well, you remove the waste yarn and the starter thing up here, but this is what it looks like when it comes off the machine. This is the white waste yarn, and there's the sock yarn underneath. And what you do is you turn it inside out and Kitchener stitch this opening shut. And it winds up looking like this. This is the top. Where you can't even see. You just make another line of knitting by the way you weave the yarn in and out. So the way you make the toe is you go up this side and forward, and then you attach it with a Kitchener stitch to the top of this tube here. So so this one is almost done, but it is a second sock. I think it's a little bigger because I wasn't so
I think the
tense.
foot is bigger.
It might be. Actually, I don't think it is. I was measuring it this morning. I don't think it actually is. It's pretty much
it
right
looks
on.
the same.
I think it looks that way because it's not sewn shut.
Did you go out?
What do you have?
Oh.
Don't look all innocent to me.
And
you're licking your lips.
Yeah.
Did he bring it? Did Eli bring anything?
He was eating a burger. Did the dog steal your burger?
No.
Oh, I guess not.
Okay.
So anyway, so I have 2 functional socks, and I'm very proud of them. Those are titled The Learning Curve, and also in the mind of finished is better than perfect, because this sock is not perfect. The first one I made. It has a nice big gaping hole right here in the toe from where I started the Kitchener or ended it. I don't know which. And this heel is way too tight because I had that tension up so high. But it is a finished functional sock. This is the yarn that Vicki sent.
Oh.
So Vicki, I was thinking about you because you had sent me this sock yarn, and I had not done anything with it yet. And it was sitting there in a in a ball in my sock yarn stash, and I was like, you know what? That is perfect. So, Vicki, thank you.
Vicki had posted a picture on Facebook of her and her dad at Chick-fil-A because they had a spicy chicken sandwich, and her dad said, "I'm not sure if I've ever eaten here before, but he wanted that spicy chicken, right?" And she said it was a nice time and everything. I was like, my son loves their spicy chicken sandwich, and he really doesn't. He likes spicy in general, but at the other spicy chicken sandwiches and stuff like that, he doesn't really eat them as much as he does that Chick-fil-A one.
And so last night before I went to bed, I decided not to try to Kitchener this shut in my sleep. So I wound up, I have 2 cones just like this because there is a sock yarn called Regia, which is, I guess, Scandinavian, and it's a good sturdy sock yarn, and they have a ball that you can buy that makes 2 identical socks, and it has waste yarn it has you start one with at the cuff, which is this dark blue, and then I should have brought the label, and I'll put a picture here of the label. You start here at the cuff, which is the dark blue, and then it goes into a computer generated patterning of looks like color work, and then there's like bright blue stripes and white stripes, and then more color work, and then when you get to the toe, so you can make the foot as long as you want, but when you get to the toe, there's more of this gray yarn. Oh no, not on this particular sock, but I have another one that has an alternative color. But at the end, it's just so much yarn so you can make the foot as long as you need to make it. And then there is a yellow waste yarn in between, so that at the end of that yellow waste yarn is another section that starts with this cuff yarn. Well, one of these Hob stole and destroyed. So, and I think it was this one. And so
Is that why it has little knots in it?
No, there's not knots. There's no knots.
I thought it was tied together here and there.
No, it's just the end. So this is 1/2 of that ball because I had to detangle it, and so I cut off the waste yarn, and I was like, stupid, because on the other second sock I could have used that waste yarn as waste yarn, and then once the color started, just start the counting the rows for the hem. But anyway, so I told Mark he's next, and this next pair I'm gonna use this. So what I'll do is start it with the regular waste yarn, and then start this at the cuff color. And when that cuff color is over, I'll hang the hem, and then it should work out, and both socks should be basically identical. So that's kind of fun. And then last week on Sunday, I went for a spin-in at Tempe Yarn and Fiber, and my friends there are horrible, and they convinced me to buy this because they were excited about my sock yarn. So I bought. They have these. They're like identical little. It's 2. So each one of these, they're separate. Each one of these will make a sock. So I bought this in honor of my new sock machine last Sunday. So it's really pretty.
So are those socks comfortable to walk in?
Yeah. It's just like a sock.
Yeah, I know.
What's the color on this one? It's called.
My grandmother used to crochet.
Well, crochet socks are not comfortable, in my opinion.
Used to crochet slippers for us all the time, and she, even when she was losing her sight, she'd do it by feel. Yeah. I have the last pair she gave to me. Here in a shadow box, but they hurt to wear
because crochet
it leaves the ridges.
Yeah. Now this has pearl ridges inside, but they don't feel.
I don't know that yeah.
I mean, it's just. I mean, if you have a commercially knit socks, they have pearl ridges inside.
I'm sure
they're just really super tiny because they make it out of that tiny yarn. But I mean, it's not like a crochet. What? Put your hand in there. They're comfy. And don't worry, y'all getting socks for Christmas.
When was the last time you seen me wear a pair of socks?
I don't care. I'm still making you wear socks.
I wear them in the winter.
Yeah. And what I also want to learn, there's a pattern out there for shorty socks. So you make a little...
Also, I'm kind of hoping that there'll be a reason to go to New Mexico.
Yeah. There's a pattern out there for shorty socks where you hang the hem right here, and actually there's like a little tab. I don't know how to do that, but I'm like, those are perfect for Arizona inside your tennis shoes or whatever. So there you go. And what's funny is that I think it was on Thursday, Hannah messages me out of the blue, and she goes, can you make me a pair of red socks and maybe yellow socks? So I just sent her a picture of my sock machine. And she's like, oh, that's perfect timing. And I was like, red? Oh, she said, a pair of not short red socks. And I'm like, what do you mean not short? Like,
she dressing as Raggedy Ann for
No. She just is like, I just think with a pair of jeans, a bright red, like a crayon, like primary color red sock would look
Actually,
cute.
that would probably be very
with
cute.
her white shoes. So she showed me the socks she was wearing, and they were like regular crew length, like this. And I was like, okay, you don't want knee socks, but you don't want ankle socks. And she's like, yeah, just regular socks. I'm like, okay, I will. I said, but first I have to learn. So,
that purple picture that you sent with the purple with the hole, it reminds me of that creature that ate Han Solo, or that was trying to eat him.
Yeah. So I call it my one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people eater is the name of my sock machine. So
when I was working on these pillows, I was looking at my yarn to see if I wanted to use any of them for trim, and I thought they're still in skeins. I thought I should make Naomi make them into balls for me.
Yeah, I have a winder.
Yeah.
And so with this sock, with this yarn, I used all the yarn that Vicky sent to make these two socks, and I just measured on my leg how long I wanted the length, and according to my rows per inch is why I made this length. And so I had the cone still had yarn on it, but it was pretty thin. I knew it's not enough to make a sock, but so I took it and wound it into a little ball. So I have a little ball of that, and I figure I'm going to have leftovers from everything. And what a lot of people do is then they make scrap socks. They just keep adding yarn into the machine and crank it up, and they make different color socks that way. And I thought I should do that. And the other thing I've been working on, and I feel bad because I got so obsessed, but with the socks that I put this down for a few days. But here's Jordan's sweater. It is continuing on. It looks like it's very low cut, but you have to add an inch to that opening, and this opening is basically right at the armpits, which if you come from your armpit and come over, that's pretty much okay, and then add an inch. So I think it'll be totally fine. She wanted a U-neck anyway. I hope it's okay. Anyway, so I'm working on this, and the worst part is having to purl the rows. But it's getting shorter. It doesn't take me so long. And I think that is totally, literally it for me. I have stories, but beyond that, that's me.
All right. So right now, I'm working on my first WIP-GO pull, which is Holly Jolly Christmas, and I'm doing this. I've already done both of these, although I only FFO'd one of them, because I kept forgetting to finish crocheting the top. So I'm working on that. So far, it was a new start. That's why when Beth was talking, I'm like, I wanted to make sure this piece is big enough, and I think it is. But anyway, so far I have HA, most of a V. And, text actually stitches up pretty quickly, but we'll see how far I go in 10 days. So, my temperature chart. I printed a new sheet.
Nice. So you don't have to look for the one under the couch.
Well,
That right now.
it'll
anyway.
turn up. It might actually be under the coffee table. So maybe at Christmas when we move the coffee table, it'll turn up.
Well, I moved the coffee table a little bit while I was doing those pillows because I dropped one of those little spools and it rolled underneath the end of the
You
coffee
still
table.
didn't
but
find it?
I didn't move it that far.
Oh.
It's so heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavier than the couch. Anyway, this is Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts 2023 temperature chart. Temperature SAL. And I love it. But we had hotter weather again this week.
Oops.
We had, I think one of the days was 117.
Yeah.
You know, and
Right before the storm.
And-
It was really
yeah, it was. We had a couple of cool days the week before, and then this week, most of the days were humid and nasty hot. So naturally, you know, we have some appointments to get to, and you have to sit in that hot car. By the time it cools off, you're there. So it still looks mostly hot here. And when I start September 1st, which happens to be a Saturday, so I didn't do it yet, we had below 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still cool
It's
out.
really nice, yeah.
Cool.
Because we got a ton of rain on Thursday night.
Yeah,
Big
we
storm.
had there was a
You
huge
did.
storm. It sparked fires all over South Mountain because there was a huge lightning storm out of just to the north of us where the mountain is. And then I saw a picture on Instagram from one of the news channels of some palm trees in Scottsdale that were at a wall by somebody's house, you know, and these palm trees are engulfed in flames.
Oh my gosh.
That from a lightning strike.
Sheesh.
And you know, we haven't had any rain in so long. Everything is so dry. And it just made me think of Hawaii, and that was the whole reason that they were having an issue.
Yeah.
Because that fire was sparked and they had
No rain.
they hadn't had any rain, and then they had these winds coming through, and
Yeah.
it reminded me of how the Santa Ana fires, you know,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like wind and fire is a terrible
hard, yeah.
terrible combination. Anyway, I'm enjoying my temperature SAL, but I'm like, oh, I get to use a cooler color.
Hopefully, what did somebody say at work? You know, there's a lot of people who never, this is their first summer, you know. They're like, well, hopefully next month, or now that it's September, it'll start to cool off. I'm like, don't fool yourselves.
I'll be able to swim through September, unless it stays weird like this. But
Don't fool yourself.
things keep conspiring to keep me out of the pool. Because I got I hurt my leg, and then I was feeling better, and I swam for 2 days, and then I got injections in my knee. He said, don't get in the water for 2 days. Yeah, very sad. So my WIP-GO call for last month,
Sorry, dog. I just
Silent
kicked
Night.
your dog.
I did not get as far on it as I would have liked. I have a lot of projects here. I did not get on as far as, but I was like stitching with the shiny thread, and I added the blue shiny thread over the blue that I'd already stitched, and so then I did stitch some more blue, and these snowflakes, they take forever. So you would think they would stitch up fast like text, but with text, you know what that letter's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
You know,
You can kind of anticipate
and they're
it.
kind of in a row.
And they're symmetrical. You know, like 3
Yeah.
stitches above and 3
But,
stitches
you know,
below and
if
3
it-
stitches across or whatever.
You know, here in this row, there's a whole bunch of snowflakes, but they're all different because, you know, the snowflake pattern repeats here and there, but these snowflakes, there's like, you have all these different ones, and you have teeny ones and big ones, and I have to know, I have to keep track of which little spots have I have to make sure that I have it in the right spot because of the blue that's going to go around it later, and just, you know, on and on. And of course I haven't stuck the brown in for these trees, so they look weird. But I did my 10 days, and I'm going to put it away. I really love this pattern. I really want to finish it, but it's not the end of the world if it's not finished this year. As a matter of fact, I bought, at the same time that I bought this, I bought gingerbread cookie recipe by, Stitching with the Housewives. Did I say that this one was hands-on design? No, Erica Michaels. Erica Michaels. I'm getting so confused. I have too many patterns here. And I am stitching this thing on 18 count Ada that I got at Hobby Lobby, and it's called Vintage. And it looks very much like the opal from DMC, and it looks very much like Stormy something or other that I have a Lugana in. I'm like, I must be attracted to this.
I was gonna say, that Christmas thing. If Christmas is coming and you feel holiday-ish, you could take it out. You don't have, just because it's not on your WIP-GO anymore or whatever. That's what I always think. Like,
well, I think that, but
but you'll have other things. You'll have other Christmassy things to do.
Yeah. So, I'm like she says, I may pull it out and work on it some more, but realistically, I don't know when. So I decided, because I started this because I thought it would be cute for Beth's birthday. This is Plant Pots by Darling and Whimsy, and I'm like, I finished that middle cat, but I haven't done any of the others. And the color for this cat, I have it somewhere, apparently. I searched for it for about 20 minutes and gave up. I said, I'll do the black cat next. But I didn't do much, just his ears. But it's better than nothing. It's not going to be done for her birthday, but I'm still waiting for my snowman from last year, so I'm not getting all teary-eyed about it.
We live in the same house, yeah.
Yeah, this is for your birthday 3 years ago.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
No, it was for Christmas 3 years ago.
26 years to do Eli's birth sample.
Well,
so.
the thing is that it's stitched. You got it stitched in time. I even said, I'll finish it, and you can just stuff it and put because I know she's going to make it into a pillow. I don't mind it being a pillow. I just mind that cute little snowman is sitting in an abyss. So this Tiny Modernist Phoenix Biscornu was my August cross stitch camp choice. I did not finish. I got 3.5 phoenixes done, 3 1/3 phoenix. I don't know. I didn't get them all done, and
Come here, Robe. Come here, Robe.
I decided I was fine with that.
No barking.
See how similar they look? Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
No barking. No barking.
So I love this. I don't want to put it away.
It looks bigger than the ones Beth has done. Is that bigger?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
But when they
Size
get
of
sewn,
fabric,
when
I
they
don't
get sewn together,
Yeah.
they're just smaller. Because she makes these all the same.
Hi, little dog. Hi, little dog. You can't see the dog. She can't just
Anyway,
Hi.
hopefully I will continue to work on that and plug away at it.
Okay, go play. Okay.
and get it done. And then this was my birthday start this year. Heaven and Earth Designs, Mini Snowman Snuggles. Can I call it just Snuggles? I really, really, really love this design, and I find that I enjoy working on it, even though it's challenging to say the least. It's like, I when I put it away the last time I was working on it, I put it away for a couple of days because I'm like, I'm going to finish this Biscornu. I didn't attach the color number to the thread that was still on the needle because I normally don't do that unless I'm going to be done with it. And I said, I'll remember what I'm working on.
Oh, no.
Took me forever to figure out because there's so many threads in such a tight spot and they're very close in color
Oh, no.
that I'm like pulling on it going, can I see where it's, the one stitch that's pulling,
Oh, my
and I was
gosh.
like, oh my God. And I'm looking at the pattern going, what does it look like has been done? And I'm checking, finally figured it out, but it took forever.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be lazy and put it
I
up
was going
like
to
that
say,
anymore.
you learned your lesson.
Yeah, so maybe I don't know if this one has a. Anyway, so now I'm at about 2 and some squares,
Wow.
and
me
even
see.
if I do this much a week, I'll be 100 before I get this done.
So you have to do more than 2 squares a week.
No, I only did 1 a week so far. So, because I started on the 14th.
Yeah.
Of course, I had to redo it, but
Well, that's because it's in a pile with all your other patterns.
I only work on it for a short time.
Yeah.
And I have to have time to just like really concentrate on what I'm
Focus.
doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I have some stitches down below because this color is used a lot in the pattern.
Uh-huh.
And I only had a little bit left. And I noticed that stitches just continued down that color. And the next place it's used in this next square is way over here. And I was like, I'll just do this. Falling asleep?
No.
Am I boring you? She's like,
She was trying to
No.
see it.
do you have a headache again? Okay, so I'm having fun with it. I'll keep plugging away at it. I don't know. At some point, something else will take my interest, I'm sure. But I really, really love this pattern. And you know how Beth said, you go back and you plan to get just this, and then you go back and get something else. That's how I ended up with this. Because I went there because I wanted my needle minder, and I was looking for something I wanted to buy, and I said something for, cross stitch camp, and I got the Phoenix Biscornu. And I was all ready to check out. The Phoenix Biscornu was $6. That was all I was going to have to pay. No shipping, nothing, right? Well, I don't know. I might have paid tax. But no, I backed out of it and went and got that snowman. And the only reason that I hadn't purchased it before was because I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do that. Well, I will never know unless I
Unless
try.
you try, right. Right.
So,
And think about it, like, if you get that finished, you're going to be so happy with yourself.
yeah, and then when I pass away, Robert will stick it in Goodwill pile. And that's his prerogative if he wants to do that.
You'll be dead, you won't care.
I'm not.
That's why Jenny says to
Besides that, he's
put-
a girl. He's not a girl.
put labels on your quilts because they're all going to wind up somewhere like that eventually, no matter what.
Yeah.
And it'll say that you made it in whatever year.
Well, and sometimes people are going through somebody's things. Like if I lived by myself,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they would go, who made this? Did
Yeah.
my mom make this? Did
Right.
aunt somebody make this?
Mhm.
You know, so
You should put a little label. If you finish it in your lifetime, you should put a little. I laugh because you said you'll be 100. Anyway, you should put a label on it of when you finished it and everything.
yes.
If you ever finish.
So I put the lemonade pattern.
Oh wait, I'm going to interrupt you. So Arne and Carlos go to thrift shops, and Arne loves thrift shops, much to Carlos's chagrin. They're knitting. They have a knitting channel, and they live in Norway. But Arne will find unfinished stitching and finish it, but then like add he's like so good. Add a pattern to the back or something. But they always talk about the old dead lady who this or whatever. They're like, we don't know. Maybe she went blind or.
Well, that's what a lot of people do with.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
They do
side rail.
save the
Eve's
stitches
stuff.
where they,
Yeah.
go to Goodwill or wherever.
Well, and reproduction samplers and stuff. That people pick them up, you
Yeah.
know, any number of places. Anyway, the fresh lemonade pattern and the strawberry. Strawberry pattern and the two patterns that that Naomi gave me for my birthday, plus the one that I already had, which is the same one as one of the ones she gave me.
Sorry.
I'll talk about that in another week or two. I put them all together in one thing, and I was like looking, you know, periodically, do I have threads to start this? And I have them all. It's just, where the heck are they? And some of them are in the snowman thing, 87 threads. Of course, some of them are in there. But I don't want to pull them out of there, and I'm like, do I just buy these threads again? I don't want to spend for DMC threads do not cost that much, but I already have so many. And I already had all of the threads, which are fancy floss, for the flamingo, and I've had all the threads, I've had the pattern. I'm like, why haven't I started that yet? And I know why I hadn't, because I needed to buy this mint, this 32 count mint Lugana with the little spots on it that looks like snow.
Oh, that's cute.
And I had all the threads and everything, so I started Falamingo, which is really hard to say actually. By hands-on design.
Cute. Is that one of the ones I gave you, or is that the one you already had?
It's one of the ones you gave me, but I also already had it.
Sorry.
That's okay. You didn't want to ask me which ones do you already have, which is fine.
And I showed it to Beth after I had already ordered it. As is my way.
That's okay. So.
It's not as if I haven't done that 1,000 times.
Well, actually, I've decided to give this one on this channel, but not yet.
Okay.
So this isn't the one I'm using. I just took this one out because it doesn't have plastic on it. The one I'm using has plastic on it because that's where all the threads are. I put it in a plastic I had from some other pattern. Anyway, I started on this yesterday. This is not that big. It's only 47 by 62. And it was because I was all upset that I didn't finish my Viscornu, and I was upset that that I was like getting frustrated with everything that I was working on. And I kept opening there and going, I really wanted to start fresh lemonade, you know. That one's even smaller than this one. And I just kind of was like, no, I'm not going to spend all that time looking for everything. And I just kept looking at this and going, I'm going to start that. And so I've done the scarves on both of them in that amount of time. I'm finished with that color. And, well,
Nice.
with the exception of the fringe.
That's so
haven't
cute.
really looked at this closely.
She likes flamingos as much as I do. So flamingos are in a lot of her stuff.
Mm.
Not everything, just a lot of it. Because flamingos are really cute.
They're cute. They're so weird.
And when they open their wings are huge. But
They
they're
don't
all
fly.
they're all dark inside.
When we went to the zoo lights, they're huge.
They're gigantic.
They're gigantic.
You have until you're standing next to one, you're like, those are so big.
Well, the ones,
and I think
they
that was
had
a different breed.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say the ones because the ones they had at the Rio Grande Zoo in Albuquerque,
They're not that big.
they were just normal size.
Yeah. So I'm going to periodically work on this, and I'm like, maybe I can get the two that I'm going to work on here and buy the other one and have them all done to make up for little ornament. I'm not going to do them in this shape.
Would they fit on your board? No, they're too big.
On my what?
On your hanging board?
They're too big. I think they're too big. When I finish it, I'll be able to tell. Actually, they can stick off the sides if I want them to. Anyway, I'm done with the scarf color except for making the fringes on the scarves, which I can't do until I finish the other stuff. So I'm going to put that color away and work on pink because I must have the flamingos done next. I didn't feel like I could do the flamingos first because of where the middle of this pattern was.
To nothing.
Yeah, this is so small. I'm like, am I cutting that the right size? It's so small. But yes, I think so. Anyway, that is me.
That is you. So do you want to hear my interesting story from this week?
Yes.
I was leaving work. I work downtown Phoenix, and I was leaving work, going to my parking garage, and I have complained to you on this channel about the fact that when the Super Bowl was coming to town, they put this big plywood wall along one side of our parking garage.
Mm-hmm.
It's not our parking garage, but where we park. And it was to cover up a bunch of businesses that have not been occupied in years. And I guess they had no plans for them to be occupied.
God forbid people think
That things were unoccupied? Yeah.
I mean, who knows when a visitor loves Phoenix and goes, look, I can put my business in there.
Right. So
Yeah.
anyway, they covered up that whole area underneath the parking garage, and then they cut it back, and so it goes along the bottom of the garage and then straight back, and it ends. It goes straight back, and then right next to it is the door to the stairwell, and right here is the elevator. So you have to go in this tiny little alcove. There's really no light in there, and during the day it's not a problem. Maybe there's a light, like one of those old lights that doesn't give very much light at night, And I have never liked it. I have hated it, and I never feel safe in there, especially at night. I go to the other one a block away, the other end of the garage. Even though I park by this one because my office is on that street. Now, if I'm going to do a concert, the hall is on the other side, so I park there, and it's fine. But when I'm working at the office, I park on that end. So, because of that, I mean, it has always kind of been bad, but because of that, I've said it's basically a public bathroom now. And it always reeks like a bear cage. There have been days when I'm like, I can't even breathe in the elevator. Or I literally hold my breath and try to get up to the third floor, So that's the situation. Well, it was after 5, maybe it was like 5:20-ish, 5:30-ish. I walked around that corner, and there I saw what I perceived was 2 people. When you walk into where the elevator is, there's a little, you walk in and the elevator's back a little, so there's a piece of wall right here. And when I walked in, there was, in my perception, I saw 2 people up against that wall, right in front of where the elevator button would be. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what they were doing. They were, what I remember, that they were facing each other. I don't know if they were, I don't know what they were doing. So I turned around and left. And when I looked back, there was a guy looking around the corner at me. And I perceived that he wasn't wearing a shirt. So I didn't know what the heck. And I'm like, I was so angry. So I called the police. And I was like, there are two people. I think there's two people. I don't know what they're doing. They're impeding the elevator. It's this little alcove. There's no, there's no way around them. And I'm like, can someone come, please? And, and then I also called my office mates because there were two women and our CEO were still in the office. So I called and I was like, go to the other elevator. Don't even try this one. And then I called the police. And he's like, well, what did he look like? I'm like, I don't know. He goes, well, is he white, black? I'm like, okay, he was white. And what was he wearing? I don't know. I didn't look at him. I said, I think he was not wearing
You
a
ran
shirt.
away as fast as you could.
Like, and he's like, are you
No, it
going
wasn't
to,
that.
are you going to, do you find it?
No.
Oh,
If
She
I had
lost
looked
some
at
thread.
if I had looked at that, I would have said that's not enough thread immediately in my head.
oh.
And
We lost some thread, so we were,
I just didn't want the dog to eat it. I'll find it eventually.
but anyway, so and he's like, will you be available or will you be around for questions? And I'm like, yeah, you can call me. I'm like, do I have to stay here? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. But it was so upsetting. It was like, and apparently I'm talking to our executive assistant and she said that someone in the building, in our office building, had a weapon pulled on them by somebody in the area right around the garage.
They need to take that wood off.
And I'm like, yeah, and that's what I said. I'm like, there is nowhere to go if you are in that little alcove and someone were to come in there with you. There's no escape, and it's not safe. And I've been contemplating for a while, like, do I write to the paper? Do I write to the city? Who do I write to? But
You go to one of the city hall meetings.
or how about I go to the news?
When I was
Anyway,
when I was living in
that
Little
was
Rock,
my traumatic story for the.
and I used to drive to Albuquerque for Christmas, right? And so there were a couple of places I often would go to. Love's stations because they were manned and there was somebody in there 24 hours a day and people coming and going because of the truck stops and stuff and the gas stations and all that, and they had good restrooms. But once in a while I went to rest stops, the highway rest stops, because I had to go to the bathroom or whatever. And so one time I went to this rest stop, and there in Little Rock there were a couple of them that were kind of off the highway a little bit.
You mean Arkansas?
Arkansas, sorry. And so this one, you had to kind of go up on the top of a hill, kind of away from the interstate, And I went up there, and it was a nice, really nice, relatively new rest stop, and I went in to use the restroom, and there was a girl and two guys were in the thing, and I don't remember how. I think I heard them or saw something, and I was like, ugh, and so I left right away, and went down the road a little ways, and there was a Love station there, and I went to the Love station, and I think I went to use the restroom, and as I came out, they were sitting there in one of the booths, and I'm like, oh my God.
Well, at UNM when we were in college there, someone entered one of the women's restrooms in a building that we were in every day, and it wasn't a huge building, okay, and she saw two people having sex, and so she immediately turned around and left. But this woman that was in there was being raped, and because she didn't say anything, nobody was there to help her.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Sorry for the heavy content.
So my story is just like more frustration than anything else. So I have a fantastic podiatrist. I can't tell you how much I like this podiatrist. when my father was having issues with the podiatrist that was coming to the house, and he was having issues with his feet, and they hurt, and it wasn't getting taken care of. We took him to her, and he loved her and got the stuff taken care of. She's a great podiatrist. I sent Naomi to her too. Mm-hmm. I sent Beth to her too. Anyway, but she was on maternity leave. And I don't remember how long ago this was, but it wasn't a long time. I arrived there for my appointment, and the girl at the front desk said, "Oh, your appointment was canceled and we called to reschedule." And I'm like, "No, you didn't." And she goes, "Yeah, we called you, but we can reschedule right now." I said, "I didn't get any phone calls." Mm-hmm. But I'd let it go. Things happen. Okay? And then I have been, because my podiatrist has been out, I've just been letting whoever cuts the toenails cut my toenails, not worry about it. And they're generally very, very good. But the last 2 times since she hadn't been there, I felt like they weren't cut properly. And I had noticed in the last couple of weeks that I felt like I was getting ingrown toenails, and it had to have been just from the way they were cut because of what was going on. And I almost called to make an extra appointment just for that. But, that's an insurance hassle. So I decided not to, and I waited, and my feet hurt. Both feet, but mostly my left foot. And my appointment was on Monday, and Monday rolls around, and I drove all the way there. It is not horribly far from here, but it's a good 20 minutes on the freeway, right? And because you have to pass it and come back to it's annoying. But it's not horribly far, and I don't mind going there to have her. And I walk in, and she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. She left sick, and we called you about 10 minutes ago." And I said, "You're lying. Nobody called me. I get phone calls in my car. I would have received your phone call. I have had 0 phone calls today. No missed calls, no hang-ups, no messages that I didn't get. 0. So you're lying to me." I was furious because it had happened before. Mm-hmm. If she tells me, "Oh, you know what, she got sick and 10 minutes ago and I just got busy and I forgot to call," I would have said, "I understand," and I would have left. But I was so angry.
Or because sometimes Mark's phone, for whatever reason, I can't get through. It just, but she should have said, if that were the case, I tried to call you, but I couldn't. Did she say I left a message?
Oh, and before I said about how many phone calls I got, no, she didn't say she left a message.
See, that's what I'm saying. You would have said I left a message.
I said, "What phone number do you have for me?" And she rattled off my phone number, and I said, I get the phone calls that you guys call, it's an automated call, to confirm my appointment. So I know it works. I know you have my number. You just told me my number. Nobody called me. Don't tell me, the Judge Judy phrase.
Yeah.
Don't tell me, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. It's like, don't. And so they rescheduled it for 2 days later, and I did have ingrown toenails and, went through the of having it cut properly and, all that stuff. But while I was talking with her, I said, "They may have told you that I was angry on Monday when I came in." I said, "I was not angry because you were sick. I was not angry because my appointment was canceled. I was angry because she said she called me and she lied." And she goes, "Well, she's not really like that. I don't think she lied." I said, "Oh, she probably got busy and forgot to call, but she told me she called." Mm-hmm. And, knowing that my appointment was 10 minutes away,
Yeah.
That would have been the first phone call, not the one that's an hour from now,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, she goes, she's really usually pretty good. I said, it happened before while you were gone. So there's some disconnect in that office. And I have to say that I better not have that happen again. Cancel the phone. If you need to move my appointment, it happens all the time with doctors.
Well, sure. And then, but what I don't understand is if she would have said to prove it, like, I left a voicemail,
Mm-hmm.
or I called, but the call wouldn't go through. That happens.
When I showed her my phone, I said, there is no phone calls today, so I don't believe you.
Yeah.
But
Oh, weird. Because you'd think, in defense of yourself, you would say, oh, no. I got your machine and I left you a voicemail.
or you'd say, I tried to call, but it never picked up.
It didn't go to voicemail, so I couldn't leave you a message. I mean, those are the two things you would say if you had actually tried to get somebody.
Right.
I called you and I couldn't
But there
leave
was
a
none of
message.
that. She said, well, we called.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was
That ain't right.
pretty angry.
When you asked me a while ago, you asked me if I was falling asleep. It reminded me of the other night. I don't remember what it was that I had been falling asleep while I was stitching or whatever, and but so I got up and went to use the restroom, and while I was sitting there, I was dreaming.
Do you realize all of your stories are?
I was dreaming that I was in my room, and beside my bed I have a bin there, and that's where when I go to charge my phone, I usually put it down there so that.
No, wait. Let me clarify. You were in the bathroom dreaming?
Yes, I was falling asleep on the toilet. I was dreaming.
Done that before. I've dreamt on the toilet,
but I was dreaming about, I guess about charging my phone.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was in my dream, I was reaching down here to put my phone in the bin, and then I kind of woke up and I was like, there's nothing in my hand. And then the bin isn't there, and I'm like, oh, and I reached around toward the trash can, but still there's nothing in my hand, and I'm like, oh my God, it's I'm trying to put something down that I have nothing in my hand to put
Mark
down.
told me a funny story. He goes that he dreamt he was, it was in the morning, and he dreamt that he had to play his oboe, and that he was late to this rehearsal, and I don't know, he didn't have his water for his oboe reed, and it was really dry, and he was trying to wet it in his mouth and couldn't wet it, and so he put it in and started playing, and he was squeaking all over, and everyone was laughing at me, he says, and I'm like, what the hell, my reed is dry, and everything, and then he woke up and realized that his CPAP mask had messed up, and his mouth, because with the CPAP, if you wind up with your mouth open, it will dry you out horribly. And so his mouth was all dried up, and then he goes, I think it's so weird that my brain invented this whole story.
Yeah. Well, that's like that time when I had pneumonia, and I was lying on my side, and I guess because I was on my side, I couldn't breathe right because of the pneumonia.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I had this whole dream where you were leaning on me and you were trying to get me to wake up. And I was like, no. And you said something about, in our house, this is what we do when people won't wake up. And you're throwing water on me or something. And I was like, doesn't that ruin your bed and your mattress and everything? Then you were leaning on me, leaning over my shoulder like this, and get up. And I'm like, I have pneumonia. Don't you know I have pneumonia? Leave me alone. And then I woke up, and it was, because I was on my side, I couldn't breathe. And so it was the whole thing.
Or I've had dreams where my alarm is going off, and I've got the alarm clock in my hand, and I'm pushing all the buttons, and I cannot turn it off, and why? And I unplug it, and it's still, screaming, and I'm like, I cannot turn this off. And I wake up because my alarm is on.
When I was in graduate school.
But it's just so funny, like, you think that your brain, it's almost instantaneous.
Uh-huh.
Like, your brain hears something external, but you think that you've been dreaming for an hour, like this whole story leading up to the alarm.
What's the most dangerous dream to have?
That you had to go to the bathroom.
That you need the bathroom and can't find one.
I have had that dream because I go to the bathroom very often at night, and so I've always had a problem with I'm a very deep sleeper, and so when I was a kid, I always had those kind of dreams. Like I would dream I had to go to the bathroom, and I would go in the bathroom, and for whatever reason, I couldn't use it. The toilets were backed up. There was there was always something wrong with the bathroom. Oh, and then
or you
like
can't find one.
Yeah, and I had a million of those dreams, but I remember one time I dreamed that I remember Eve had told me that, not the dream, but Eve had gone to get a haircut, and she was complaining because they had like shaved the back of her neck to because it was a very short haircut. And so she was talking about having razor burn on the back of her neck. So she had told me that during the day. And that night, I guess, I was in my dream, the back of my neck was stinging. And I thought, oh, it's razor burn, But then I thought, wait a minute, I didn't get a haircut. Why do I have razor burn on the back of my neck? And I woke up and the back of my neck was stinging. And I felt back there, and I had a little welt, and there on the wall beside my bed there was a little spider, a little bit. And really, I've had this really illogical, weird thing that I was going to turn into a vampire or something.
No, that's Spider-Man. You're wrong. It's a bat. If a bat bites you, you turn into a bat. If a spider bites you, and it's
Spider-Man.
radioactive, then you turn to Spider-Man.
I probably mentioned that Beth came with me to orthopedist visit, and I waited over an hour. I drove all the way to Scottsdale, drove over an hour, and ended up seeing the PA. And instead, I was scheduled with him, but she was like,
yeah, that guy.
She's like, he's very behind. After we talked a while, she said what she thought it was, and with my knee that I've been having trouble with. And she said, do you need to see them? I said, if I have a treatment plan, I don't need to see him. I'm fine. I'm not going to wait. I felt like sounding like, I'm not going to wait here a minute longer. So, because a couple days before I had to wait for 4 hours at ER or whatever, I'm like, I'm done with waiting. So, one of the things in the treatment plan was I was going to get some more cortisone shots in my knee, and they gave me the earliest appointment they could put for the doctor that was going to do it. And it was yesterday, and in order for me to get this soonest appointment, I had to drive to Gilbert. I was like, all the way to Val Vista. And so I drove all the way over there, and I made it early, and I walked inside, and I checked in, and he goes, oh yeah, you're for so-and-so, and you're getting this. And I said, yes. And I barely had a time to take out my book that I was reading on an ebook, and they called me back, and they sat me down on one of those little table things, and I barely had time to take my book back out, and here he comes. I was at the facility for less time than it took me to drive there.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just a few minutes. He's very, very good at what he does, and he's like, just a little pinch while I put some lidocaine or something. He sprayed it first, and then he injected something that theoretically, dulls the pain. It's pretty painful, so I don't know about that. But and he's like, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I'm like, I was trying very hard not to scream because it's very painful, and then he goes, okay, all done. And then he said I couldn't swim.
When I remember when going to the orthopedist in Little Rock, I had like a problem with my elbow that had developed. I just because he kept asking me, well, did you hit it? Did you do that? And I'm like, no, I just like I couldn't push this way.
Yeah.
You know, and anyway, so after everything happened, we were doing an injection, and so I was talking to him, blah 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 yada yada. We're talking, and he's like, you know, injecting my elbow, and then after a while, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop talking now. It's like, oh.
The other day I had a doctor's appointment, and I was leaving from work, and you know how offices are. I was trying to get out the door and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then I had to walk through the parking garage, and I had to go up in the stinky elevator and go to my car. And by the time, you know, when you think, in order to get there in time, I need to leave at this time. But what I really need to be is in my car at that time, not leave the office at that time. So anyway, so I was late. And I was on the freeway, and GPS was telling me that I was going to be 10 minutes late. And I knew that was a cardinal sin. So I called, and so say it was like at 20 after the hour, and my thing was saying I was going to be there at 32 or 30, no, it was like 34 or something like that. And I thought, well, I could shave off 2 minutes. I know me. But anyway, so out of courtesy, I called. I was already like down on the 202, and because I usually wait till it's my appointment time, because I really like making sure that the time that I'm closer to the office, and I know exactly when I'm going to get there. And at that point, it said 12 minutes late, and so I called and I said, I left the office late. I'm running late, but I'm on my way. And I just wanted to let you guys know, make sure that was still okay, because I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. And she was like, well, we have a policy, 10 minutes. And I'm like, well, it says 12 minutes. I'm sure I'm going to be able to be there in, within the 10 minutes. And the time was going down as I was talking to her and driving down the freeway. And so she's like, okay, hang on a second. And she goes back and she says, that's fine. I'm like, okay. So I'm going along, and it is like, so my appointment was at 20, and this was at 28 minutes after the hour. And I was a mile from the exit off the freeway, and their office is boop, boop, off the freeway. And at 28, somebody calls me and says, well, we have a policy that we give you that grace period of 10 minutes. I'm like, I know. I'm literally about to get off the freeway right now. And she's like, well, we like basic. And I'm like, so 2 minutes after the 10-minute grace period is going to make or break your schedule when I have sat in that office. I've been on time, and I didn't say this part. It was my brain thinking this. And I was like, well, I'm literally about to get off the freeway. I shouldn't say literally. I'm actually going to get off the freeway in just a moment, and I will be there, in 2 minutes. And she's like, well, I'll call you back if it's going to be a problem. So I guess she was going to go, whatever. And sure enough, I walked in right at 30 past. And I'm like, you people. They didn't call me back.
Were you the last appointment of the day?
Yeah. Not at all.
Because sometimes they're like,
because they want
to go home.
No, it was afternoon. But and so they called me back pretty quickly, but then I waited forever. But I figured that I didn't get mad because I figured they took somebody in front of me, who was already there or whatever. But I'm like, really?
My first appointment with I have a nutritionist. It's like the third time, but I said I want to see them in person. I don't want to have a telephone one because I'll just, say whatever and get off the phone. It's harder to do that if you're looking somebody in the face. So the first time I went to this office, I knew basically where it was. And I thought I knew how long it would take to get there. And so I am in the habit of being early, not late. But I was still running late, and so it was at the time of my appointment, and she called me. And I said, I'm pulling into the parking lot right now. And she's like, well, okay.
It's like Danny used to always say Danny Allen, when he was running late for work or whatever. He's like, I'm running late, but I'm running that direction.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of running late, I have better go. We have things to do for our house projects. Mm-hmm. Kitchen's done. Oh, dishwasher's still not working, by the way.
Really?
The guy came out and was like, well, I think it's this, and we'll do that. And we're like, no. Apparently it's a problem with this whole thing that we didn't realize when we bought it stupidly. We didn't research the way we usually do. Anyway, that's a whole thing. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, yeah, we're getting ready to do our bathroom vanity, so I've got some decisions to make. So Mark's piling up the errands. He's been texting me, piling up the errand list. So I better go pretty quickly. That is not him. That was her phone. But anyway, so happy September. Thanks for joining us for another week of nonsense, and we hope that all of your work is finished better than perfect, and we will talk to you soon.
Little birdie.
Bye.
Bye.